Welcome back to the Gamery. We're here for more Unsolved Case Files. Okay, so where we left off, we were trying to solve Objective 1. How did Jane Doe get to the island? We're in between two options, whether she hid inside the Captain Hooked or whether she was already on the island when they arrived. We're just not sure. So up next, we have Paula May, another suspect. Paula June Marie May, marital status divorced. She has 3 cars. Former supermodel for 12 years.
I was exhausted and fell fast asleep as soon as I returned to my cabin after the bonfire until I was awakened to people screaming, "Fire!" I thought maybe the bonfire restarted, but then I looked and saw one of the cabins in full blaze. We were all worried Christopher was inside, but Rob, Jack, and Ava were no help whatsoever, so I took matters into my own hands and busted through the door to try and save him. I couldn't find him, but luckily I was able to get back out safely, and Christopher showed up right then. He wound up pushing us into the somewhat disorganized group session that lasted the entire night after that. We had no idea about the dead body until the morning. I honestly don't know what to think about that because Ari swore to me on his mother's life that the island was 100% clear of any outsiders. Who can confirm her whereabouts? I was asleep by myself. Christopher made the entire group do a group session the entire night. So that's a little bit fishy.
Why would you call a group session when there's a huge fire?
And why the entire night?
Alright, what's next?
Wendy Ender's witness statement. I worked at the Del Fuego Rehab Center for the past 2 years on the wait staff. I've always enjoyed meeting all the famous celebrities, and most of them have been really nice. Just before the dinner shift, I saw Paula standing over by a window with a glass in her hand, staring outward toward the water. I was thrilled as I've always been one of her biggest fans. She's not the same Paula May now, but I think she still looks good. I've never understood why some people think you have to be as thin as a rail to be attractive. Anyway, I grabbed my camera out of my purse and called out to her so I could get a picture. She freaked out sideways and threw her glass at me. It just missed my head as it smashed into the wall. Then she stormed over and yelled in my face, "Give me that film or I'll cram that camera down your skinny little throat." I was shaking, but managed to get the film out. She grabbed it and stormed out of the room. It was awful. When Ari heard what happened, he came up and apologized to me because he hadn't briefed me on Paula's issue with cameras. That calmed me down a bit, and I asked how sure he could be that there weren't any paparazzi lurking somewhere on the island, but he assured me that he and Scout would make sure the island was completely secure and devoid of such unsavory life forms. Ari always makes me laugh with the weird way he talks, but he and Scout really do a great job of keeping us safe on the island. When I got back to work, I was still a bit shaky and unfortunately ended up dumping a whole big serving tray of potato salad into Jack Danner's lap. He was nice about it though and told me I could make it up to him by going for a stroll around the island with him after dinner. I told him we weren't allowed to fraternize with the guests. Then he winked at me and told me I didn't know what I was missing, which was kind of creepy. But with those warm brown eyes, it didn't bother me too much. Anyway, one thing I can say about my job here is that it's never boring.
Anything stick out?
Jack Danner's is a creeper. Next is the interview with Paula May.
Please state your full name for the record.
Paula June Marie May.
Can you also please state your reason for being at rehab?
I've gained 40 pounds in the past 4 months and can no longer even fit my big toe into my skinny jeans. Does that answer your question?
So you're addicted to eating?
Bingo! Got any cheese doodles?
Look, I've been there too. I know it's tough. After my son was born, my first husband left me and I turned to food. Heck, I practically married it. But for what it's worth, I think you look great. Seriously, anyone who doesn't is warped in the head.
Thanks, I guess.
You were a very sought after model. Was the food addiction why you stopped?
No, I didn't start eating everything in sight until the jobs stopped coming. They told me I was getting old. As of turning 30 meant I should wear housecoats, watch Jeopardy, and become the crazy cat lady.
You're funny.
Once the looks go, you gotta come up with a new gig. I'm thinking stand-up.
Sometimes people use humor to conceal their true emotions. I'm sure losing your career like that made you pretty bitter and angry.
It crushed me, which was easy back then since I was all skin and bones.
Are you married?
I was, but once I started putting on weight, he left me for someone the size of a walking stick.
I hear you also withdrew from the public eye.
The paparazzi made it their goal in life to photograph the super fat former supermodel, so I basically became a prisoner in my own house.
That must be awful.
Yep, but I'm determined to stop doing this to myself and lose the weight, so I can prove to the world I'm not too old to model. I also want my ex-husband to see me svelte again, because I know he'd come running back and dump the stick figure. But I don't want him back. I just want to see him grovel and tell him to drop dead.
I hear there was an altercation with someone delivering food to your house. It was all over the press.
I hired people to bring me groceries, do fast food runs for me, raid the bakery before closing time, that kind of thing. So I didn't have to go out and be seen. I had discreet, dependable people until a paparazzi infiltrated them. Suddenly, there was a camera-toting witch in my house.
What happened?
I smacked her across the face with her camera. Look, she came into my house under false pretenses and tried to strip me of my privacy. She deserved what she got.
You broke her nose. You don't seem very remorseful about that.
She had it coming. It was an ugly, bulbous nose anyway. It's not like it was going to ruin her modeling career or anything.
And there was another camera incident yesterday afternoon.
That waitress had no right to take my picture. I told her to give me the film.
You threw a glass at her and threatened to cram a camera down her throat.
I have a right to my privacy.
I hear the paparazzi got word you were coming out here.
Why can't they just leave me alone? They're like cockroaches.
What would you do if one of them made it out here with a camera?
Whatever needed to be done.
Really? Like drag them under a cabin, cover them in gasoline, and light them on fire? They'd have it coming, right? They're just cockroaches.
What? No. Look, I talk a big story, and yes, I whacked that reporter in the face with her camera, but I'd never murder someone. I tried to save someone last night.
How so?
When we saw the counselor's cabin up in flames, we thought he was still inside. Rob tried to break the door in, but he wasn't strong enough. I looked at Jack, and he was like, "Don't look at me." And Ava said, "Don't look at me either." So much for Ava the superhero. So I did what needed to be done. Ava tried to stop me, said I was nuts. Well, maybe I am nuts, but I got a running start and busted right through. Maybe I found my calling and I should rethink the whole diet thing. Anyway, he wasn't in there and I barely got out moments before the roof collapsed.
Wow, that was either an unbelievably selfless act or a great attempt at deflecting guilt. Paula, where were you last night between 10:30 p.m. and 1 a.m.?
I can't believe you. I went back to my cabin after the bonfire and fell asleep. Slept like a baby till I heard people screaming, "Fire!"
I understand you're an insomniac. Did you take any sleeping pills last night?
No, I was just exhausted from being out of the house all day.
I see. Well, that'll be it for now. We'll talk again soon. She was strong enough to break open the door, whereas no one else could. And on the autopsy, it said there was a lot of force. I don't know. Okay, what's next?
A medical referral letter.
April 10th, 2001, to Christopher King from Dr. Morris Randall. Patient Paula May. It is my medical opinion that Paula May is suffering from a food addiction. She has recently gained over 40 pounds in a matter of months. I believe her addiction is not caused by a lack of willpower, but as a result of a dopamine signal affecting the biochemistry of her brain. I believe her addiction to food is a possible transference or substitute for her addiction to attention, which she got from being an in-demand model. I also believe she is suffering from body dysmorphic disorder, where she perceives herself as being much larger than she is. While it's true she's gained a considerable amount, she views herself as morbidly obese, which is not the case. I believe this is a direct result of the unrealistic pressure women are under in today's culture, especially in the fashion industry, to emaciate themselves down to a very unhealthy weight in order to be as thin as possible. Paula is also suffering from borderline agoraphobia, where she goes weeks sometimes without leaving her house out of fear that she will be seen, photographed, or made fun of. She has also been prone to fits of rage since the weight gain and can become quite volatile. In addition to the aforementioned conditions, Paula has been experiencing ongoing insomnia for the past few months, most likely brought on by her heightened anxiety over her other issues. Her condition, therefore, is complex: food addiction, body dysmorphia, borderline agoraphobia, anger issues, insomnia. It is my opinion that she will need intensive therapy in all these areas, and I believe your unique methods may work wonders on her. Sincerely, Dr. Morris Randall. Unique methods.
Maybe this game is trying to point out in the last interview and the medical referral letter that she has insomnia. So the fact that she fell right asleep during that time seems unlikely.
So she's saying she fell asleep,
which seems unlikely.
She has insomnia. Very nice. So we didn't get any information for the first objective. This is purely off of our experience from the other game. I feel like earlier on we were able to solve the first objective, so maybe we do have enough information. I still don't feel confident, so maybe we can just keep going. Person of interest: Avra Barbara Lawrence. Marital status: single. Prior arrest: yes. Possession of cocaine and DUI. Dismissal pending sting operation, undercover. Employer: Hollywood Hills Studios.
After our campfire was over, I decided to go over the script changes in my latest film. I was rehearsing a scene when I noticed a red ember float past the window. I stepped onto the porch and saw the counselor's cabin on fire. I started screaming because I thought he was inside, and within a few moments the rest of the patients were out there yelling as well. We didn't know it was empty until after Paula busted the door off the hinges and nearly died trying to rescue that guy. Then Counselor King appears out of nowhere and says he was reviewing our files in the main house. But he came from another direction, and Rob asked him about that, but he changed the subject right away. Said he must take advantage of this opportunity for an emergency group intervention and dragged us up to the main house for some ridiculous all-night session. It was very weird. He seemed kind of angry and yelled a lot. Something's not right about that guy. He was really feely with me at the marina too. And then confirm your whereabouts. We were all alone in our cabins because that's what Counselor King told us to do after the campfire was over. Interesting.
Witness statement: Stephen Tenenbaum, who's the producer. Ava B. Lawrence is currently under contract at Hollywood Hills Studios as an actress. She's one of our biggest names. Ava has done 4 films with us, and we are currently in production on her 5th. She's simply box office gold. Ava gives 110% when the cameras are rolling and has an uncanny ability to memorize her lines almost instantly. Even though she knows how to play the part of a charming young actress, Ava can be difficult to work with as she demands perfections from herself and everyone else. Even the slightest screw up from another actor, cameraman, caterer, or if one of her hairs is out of place, she completely loses it. It was brought to my attention that one of the costume designers had seen her snorting cocaine in her trailer. I was extremely disappointed. She knows I have no tolerance for that sort of thing at my studio. Had it been anyone else, I would have fired them on the spot, but she's our biggest star and currently under contract, so that would be difficult. I spoke with her about getting help and told her that if she didn't check into rehab ASAP, she was fired. She agreed and said she'd never let anything stand in the way of being the best actress she could be. Stupidly, I believed her. In my defense, she's one heck of an actress. For a while, she seemed fine and showed no signs of using, but over the next few weeks, Ava's behavior became increasingly worse. Several times, she took out her anger on inanimate objects. After hearing that she had yet another violent outburst on a set, this time destroying a $250,000 camera, I gave instructions for Ava to go directly to her trailer and wait for me. She blew me off and left the set, crashing into my Bentley on the way out. She took off and was soon being chased by the Apollonia Police Department. They were only able to catch up with her, ironically, after her car ran out of gas directly in front of a theater where her current movie Busted was playing. Her lawyers are working a deal to keep her out of jail and the story out of press. I'm not sure how they managed it, but I'm sure it wasn't cheap. I don't care though. I just want her to get clean so she can finish the latest superhero film. I have a feeling those are going to be really popular one day. I've known Ava for many years, since she was around 10 in fact. She'd come for hours and hours and just sit there watching her mother act. Barbara was a great actress in her day too. Ava may be spoiled, prissy, and hard to get along with at times, but in no way is she capable of murder. I mean, she has anger issues as well, and she does physical damage to things. Interview, Ava B. Lawrence. Please state your full name for the record.
Ava Barbara Lawrence.
Ava B. Lawrence, can you please tell me why you checked into the Del Fuego Rehab Center?
Don't most of the rich and famous people in show business check into quaint little rehab centers at some point? It's practically en vogue these days. But you asked me why I'm here, so I'll tell you my little secret. I'm a coke addict, but I'm determined to beat this. Drugs are so bad, and if Ava B. Lawrence can get hooked, it can happen to anyone.
If you're serious about beating this, I wish you all the best of luck.
Thanks, but luck won't be necessary. I may flinch at the thought of breaking a nail, but I'm as tough as nails when I'm determined to succeed.
I think I heard you say that in a movie promo once. Good line. I see here you were arrested for DUI, possession of cocaine, leaving the scene of an accident, and evading the police. Rumor has it the studio told you to check into rehab or you were fired.
It really isn't the way it looks. They adore me. They're just looking out for my best interests.
I understand your lawyers have managed to keep you out of jail and out of the press.
Yes, that's correct, but it wasn't cheap.
Pretty lucky if you ask me.
Well, no one ever said that being Ava B. Lawrence doesn't have its perks.
You must have flinched quite a bit lately.
I'm sorry?
Your nails. They're short and jagged. You said you flinched at the thought of breaking one.
Oh, that. I'm playing a superhero named Blaze. She can put out fires with her fingertips. I'm doing all of my own stunts, and let me tell you, it's absolute hell on my nails.
Sounds like you have a new line for your next promo tour. When's the new movie coming out?
Next summer.
Let's hope you aren't sitting in jail for murder during the release.
What in the world are you talking about?
You're not quite the actress in real life as you are on the screen, Miss Lawrence. It's quite clear you're only here playing the part of an actress who wants to get clean. You're just trying to get back on your cocaine-snorting superhero life.
Look, whether that's true or not, and it certainly isn't, what does that have to do with murder?
Who was that under the cabin, Ava? Did somebody find out you were a snitch and come out to get you?
What are you talking about? What's a snitch?
I saw you in Busted, so I know you're fully aware of what a snitch is. I understand you wore a wire on your drug dealer to avoid prison time. Who else knew?
What? No one. How did you know that? I didn't even wear the wire yet, and there were only supposed to be a few people who knew about that. And now you, I guess. Well, it shouldn't be hard for you to confirm with them. We didn't even do it yet.
Feels like you're hiding something from me, Ava. Did somebody come out here to pay you a visit? Drop off a little nose candy, perhaps?
You're insane. You know, maybe you ought to focus your attention on that psycho ex-supermodel Paula. She's been acting like a real whack job ever since we were at the marina. Barely spoke to anyone on the Captain Hooked, glared at everyone, especially me, and spent most of her time in her cabin. She even went nuts on some poor waitress. Then last night, she tried her very best to act like a hero instead of the murderous monster she really is. Paula May, supermodel turned superhero, give me a break.
I hear you tried to stop her from going in the cabin to rescue Christopher.
Well, that was just stupid on her part. We had two guys standing right there, and just because one was a pretty boy and the other too scared to try and get the door open, it didn't mean she should risk life and limb. I certainly wasn't going to, but she got down into a three-point stance, then rammed into that door so hard it flew off the hinges. Turned out he wasn't even in there. He showed up out of nowhere right after she busted through.
We're going to be searching your cabin later. Anything you want to tell me about now?
I don't have any coke if that's what you're asking. Go right ahead and search my whole cabin. Degrading as hell, but can't wait to prove you wrong. You'll owe me a huge apology, maybe even your badge.
By the way, is there anyone alive who can vouch for your whereabouts last night between 10:30 and 1 a.m.?
Cute. And no, there isn't. If you must know, I couldn't sleep, so I went over my lines. They made major changes to the script and handed it to me the day I left for rehab. Why don't you test me on the lines if you don't believe me, detective?
Don't need to. I'm already reading between the lines, Ava. That will be all for now. Okay, next, this is non-prosecution immunity agreement. On the understanding specified below, the Apollonia Department of Justice Narcotics Department will not criminally prosecute Ava B. Lawrence, the individual, for any crimes arising from and related to her arrest for DUI, possession of 2.9 ounces of cocaine, leaving the scene of an accident, and resisting arrest on April 12, 2001. The department enters into this non-prosecution agreement based on the individual's full cooperation with the department in the investigation and prosecution of other individuals implicated in drug trafficking named below. It is understood that the individual admits, accepts, and acknowledges responsibility for her arrest and agrees not to make any public statement about the matter indefinitely. This agreement shall have a term of 2 years. For the 2-year term of this agreement, the individual shall commit no crime, truthfully and completely disclose all known information with respect to the activities of Rosa Elena Cruz, alias R.E. Cruz, and all known associates. Within 30 days of the execution of this agreement, conduct a purchase of illegal narcotics from Rosa Cruz while wearing a hidden audio recording device. The individual has also agreed to pay a monetary penalty of $100,000 to the Apollonia clerk's office within 10 days of executing this agreement. No tax deduction may be sought in connection with this payment. Statement of facts. The department and individual agree that the following facts are true and correct. On April 12, 2001, in Apollonia, Ava B. Lawrence was arrested for DUI, possession of 2.9 ounces of cocaine, leaving the scene of an accident and resisting arrest, all of which combined are punishable by up to 20 years in prison. Upon interrogation, the individual admitted to purchasing the narcotics directly from Rosa Cruz on April 7, 2001. She has been buying illegal drugs from her for over a year since they met at a party at Burt Reynolds' residence. The Apollonia Vice Unit has spent several years investigating Rosa Cruz for drug trafficking but have yet to secure a conviction because she manages all illicit actions through intermediaries, and detectives have been unable to find anyone willing to risk their own life to testify. On April 19, 2001, the individual's attorney, Sophia Lorenzo, contacted District Attorney Ethan Goldman offering assistance in gathering incriminating evidence against Rosa Cruz. Lorenzo suggested that the individual wear a wire and use her preeminent thespian skills to make a significantly large drug purchase from Miss Cruz in exchange for immunity in the above-mentioned arrest. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Don't see anything here.
No, but in her interview, she said that she didn't even wear the wire.
Well, she said it didn't happen yet. So this stuff happened on the 12th and the 19th, and when was the fire?
The 23rd. Okay, next is Jack Danner.
Okay, person of interest, Jack Diego Danner. I remember in some of the missing persons reports, there was a man with black hair. Her friends told me they saw her talking to a dark-haired man. I guess dark hair, flame red Jaguar.
After a pathetically long and boring group session at the fire pit, I returned to my cabin and went to bed around 11. I slept soundly until I heard a woman screaming fire and went out to see the counselor's cabin had turned into a blazing inferno. Then the next morning, they go and discover a dead body under there. Makes no sense because according to Ari, there were only 5 of us on the island, not 6. Maybe instead of spending all his time rummaging through people's personal belongings, he should busy himself by learning how to count.
Was it a woman who screamed fire?
Oh yeah, so Ava Lawrence said, I started screaming because I thought he was inside.
So she was the first one to spot the fire. Interview Jack D. Danner.
Please state your full name for the record.
Jack Diego Danner.
Can you tell me why you checked into rehab?
My wife thinks I drink too much. She's completely overreacting as usual. Thing is, she's a lot older than me and acts like a mother hen, if you know what I mean. But I'm an easygoing guy, and she takes good care of me, so I do what I can to keep her happy.
I hear you tried to smuggle a sizable amount of alcohol into the island. Are you sure you don't have a problem?
Hey, look, I'm a social drinker, and this is a group therapy. I just like to have a good time, and I needed to make sure things didn't get dull.
Sounds like you made sure things wouldn't get dull before you guys even stepped onto dry land. You went a little nuts when Ari took your booze. I hear you shoved him up against a pylon and told him you'd mess him up so bad his own mother wouldn't even recognize him.
I might have overreacted just a tad.
You think?
Look, I was in a state, okay? I was seasick, and he had his hands all over my stuff.
Has drinking ever impaired your judgment?
Of course not.
What about your DWI arrest last month?
That traffic incident? Total misunderstanding. I'd only had a couple drinks at a company party.
You blew 2 times the legal limit and were clocked going 94 in a 45. There was also a 21-year-old cocktail waitress passed out next to you. This was 2 in the morning, according to the police report.
Hey, just trying to be a gentleman and give her a lift home. Didn't even know her. Heard she was walking home after her shift, so I tried to do the right thing.
Did you try to sell that story to your wife? I can't imagine she bought it.
Nope. She's had me followed everywhere since it happened. To be honest, I was looking forward to rehab so I can enjoy a little freedom.
Freedom to do what exactly? I heard 3 of the female staff members have already complained about you hitting on them.
Complain? I'm just a friendly guy, that's all. Look, the last thing I need is for my wife to hear these crazy accusations. If word gets back, I'll be out on the street without a dime.
Guess she doesn't trust you very much. Wonder why.
Okay, I just about had it here, detective. You have no business sticking your nose in my personal life. Last time I checked, you got a dead body to deal with here.
That's right, I do have a dead body to deal with, which is precisely why I have my nose stuck in your personal life. Tell me, Jack, did you invite that cocktail waitress to come out to the island so things, wouldn't get dull?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
How'd you get her out here, Jack?
What? This is...
Thought you could keep it a secret, huh? Sneaking your girl onto the island, but you weren't counting on Ari and Scout sniffing around in your business, and it was just too risky. She ended up being far more of a problem than an amusement for you.
I really don't know what you're talking about here.
The island's a lot smaller than you thought. You knew you couldn't keep the girl a secret, so you got rid of her. Or maybe you thought your wife set you up? Makes sense, don't you think?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
So Ari takes all your booze. You start getting the shakes, feeling a little paranoid, and suddenly this girl is a risk you can't afford, so you took care of her.
No, I didn't.
I think you did. And then you burned the body to destroy the evidence. Do the right thing, Jack. Tell me what happened. We're going to find out who she is, and I doubt we'll have any trouble connecting her to you. It's not too late for us to work together to fix this.
I can't believe this. I did not bring anybody out here with me, and I didn't kill anyone. Please don't let this line of questioning get back to my wife.
If you didn't bring anybody out here, then why did we find an empty bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses in your cabin?
Okay. I asked one of the waitresses, Wanda I think, if she could get her hands on some of the liquor I brought. Told her there was $500 in it for her if she could, so she did, and we had a toast. I asked her if she wanted to help me finish the bottle, but she said if she got caught, it cost her her job. That was it, I swear.
And she'll be able to verify this?
I highly doubt it. She'd lose her job, remember?
I see. So I assume there's no one who can verify your whereabouts between the hours of 10:30 and 1 a.m.?
There's no one. But I can assure you I was fast asleep by 11. I had a little too much Jack, and I was out cold until I heard people screaming fire.
Too much Jack, huh? I can relate. My heart goes out to your wife. We're done for now. Was it the waitress earlier or is it a different waitress? Oh, it is.
So the same waitress?
Oh, no, it's not.
Do you think he just remembered the name wrong? Wanda, Wendy? Okay, arrest report, Seacliff Road, LA, March 23rd. Speeding, alcohol related, traffic related. March 23rd, 1:51 a.m. Officer Roscoe Denton clocked a red 2001 Jag convertible with California license plate traveling 94 in 45 southbound on Seacliff. When Officer Denton pulled the vehicle over, the driver Jack, age 34, from Beverly Hills, was clearly intoxicated. Mr. Danner was asked to step out of the vehicle where he failed a sobriety test. His breathalyzer test results revealed his blood alcohol concentration to be 0.17. In the passenger seat was a young woman who was initially passed out. Her ID indicated her to be a 21-year-old Rebecca Burns of LA. At first, she became hysterical as she couldn't recall who Mr. Danner was or how she got into his vehicle. Then she vaguely remembered meeting Mr. Danner at the club where she works as a cocktail waitress. Mr. Danner claimed he was only trying to be a gentleman and give her a ride. Officer Roscoe Denton took her home instead, like the true gentleman he is.
What's the girl's name again? Rebecca?
Rebecca Burns? Not one of them, right?
Nope. Next POI. Rob Knox.
And we're gonna have to go through everything. I still have no idea about the first objective. Person of interest, Rob Francis Knox. Marital status, divorced. Prior arrest, yes.
Petty
theft. Employer Safety Net Inc. CEO, President, Founder.
I was in my cabin but couldn't sleep. The impending bankruptcy keeps me up, but I started thinking about what a good Boy Scout was, and it led to an epiphany around 11 for a revolutionary new invention that will make all my financial problems disappear. I was wrapping up my notes when I heard a woman scream, "Fire!" and ran out to see Mr. King's cabin on fire. We figured he was in there, and while I was determining the best way to save him, Paula exploded through the front door, but he wasn't there. Moments later, he shows up out of breath, saying he was at the main house, but he came from the other direction, so I asked him about that. And the next thing I know, we're having an emergency therapy session that lasted all night. It was mostly just him insulting us. I wasn't surprised when I found out there was more to the story. You should find out where King was. Too bad there's no hidden security cameras around here. And then the whereabouts. King told us all to stay in our own cabins until morning. Suspicious.
Well, we know where he was. In the cave. Alright, witness statement, Audrey Collins, reporter. I recently became a reporter for Hollywood Hearsay. We're a small gossip paper based in LA. The first assignment I'd been given was to track down Rob Knox and see if the rumors were true that he was going into rehab for a gambling addiction. My editor thought it presented a unique story considering the man runs a high-profile security company but can't keep his own fortune safe from himself. I found him at the Apollonia Marina waiting to board a boat the captain hooked to the Del Fuego Rehab Center. Being that it was my first assignment, I was super excited as well as more than a little nervous. Maybe I should have worked up to my question, but I came out fighting right out of the box. I said, "My name is Audrey Collins with Hollywood Hearsay. Is it true that you're going to rehab for an addiction to gambling?" I never expected him to act the way he did. He grabbed me hard by the wrist and glared at me with the most intense look of hatred I've ever seen. Then he said, "You don't know who you're messing with, lady. Bury this, or I'll bury you." He glared a few seconds longer, it felt like forever, then let go of my wrist. I freaked, ran off to my car, and drove back to the paper. My editor wasn't exactly impressed that I took off, but she understood. She wanted to run what we had there, but decided to wait until I could get more. I guess with him now also being a murder suspect, we have that more she was talking about. I'll never forget the look of cold, pure hatred in his eyes. All I did was ask him a question. I shuddered to think what he'd do to someone who really crossed him. Okay, lots of anger issues with these people. Alright. Interview, Rob F. Knox.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you please state your full name for the record?
Rob Francis Knox.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm the president and CEO of SafetyNet. We're revolutionizing the security industry by linking security cameras into the World Wide Web.
Security cameras on the World Wide Web, huh?
That's right. Top-of-the-line cameras with fire and carbon monoxide detectors, and we link them to the internet so customers can see what's happening in their homes or businesses just by logging into our website.
Interesting. Why are you in rehab?
I'm working on a slight problem I have with gambling.
Slight problem, huh? How's it affected your life?
I hit rock bottom 6 years ago, but I was determined to turn things around, so I work obsessively to do so. Now, the business I built is one of the fastest growing companies in the nation, yet my gambling also has us nearly in bankruptcy.
I'm very sorry to hear about that.
You and me both. I'm doing everything to keep it a secret because I've worked so hard to rebuild my reputation. If the public finds out, my good name will be ruined.
Your name, Rob Knox. You changed it about 6 years ago, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And all of this obsession with rebuilding your reputation and keeping your good name wouldn't have anything to do with what happened back in Georgia, would it?
It has everything to do with it.
I spoke with a Detective Gaynor back there about you this morning. I hear you were head of campus security at Tubman University for years, and then you went through a messy divorce. Is that right?
Messy? That's an understatement. My wife left me for some low-life lawyer, and it took me for everything I had.
Wow, that stinks.
I was broke, desperate, and started playing poker with people I shouldn't have. Thought I could make some quick money, but it backfired.
Is that when you quit your job and moved into an old storage shack on campus?
Yes, I thought it'd give me time to make a plan, as long as nobody found me there.
But someone did find you, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Max Cahill.
And shortly after, Max turned up dead. You were a prime suspect.
Unfortunately, yes. But that was a crazy mix-up. He was a great guy who was trying to help me. I had nothing but respect for Max.
I understand there wasn't enough evidence to convict, so they closed the case.
Yes, that's true.
I'm detecting a pattern. 6 years ago, you get mixed up with gambling and someone dies, and now history seems to be repeating itself.
Look, I screwed up my life with gambling, not once, but twice. And that was incredibly stupid. But I've never killed anyone.
You really hate the press, don't you?
What? Where's that coming from?
I heard a reporter questioned you at the marina. You threatened her.
I didn't threaten her.
I heard you grabbed her by the wrist. Really scared her. A lot of people saw.
Okay, I was furious the press had gotten wind of this. They have the power to ruin me, and I wasn't going down that road again.
You know what I think? I think a reporter followed you out to the island. You've worked so hard to leave your past buried, and they dug it up and shoved it in your face. And to make sure your past stayed underground, you put her under the cabin and set it on fire.
Absolutely not. I didn't kill anyone. I'm 100% innocent. Again.
Where were you last night after the bonfire between 10:30 and 1?
You mean before I heard Ava shout fire and ran out to see the counselor's cabin in flames? And then watched Paula May bust through the reinforced cabin door like it was a B-movie prop? I was in my cabin inventing something revolutionary that's going to save my business. Got the idea from Scout. I'll give you my notes to prove it if you want. Make a copy or something though, because I need them back.
Yes, I would like to see those notes.
Gladly. You should really talk to that counselor King. He said he was here in the main house the whole time, but he ran up to us from another direction. I asked him about it, and the next thing I know, we're in an all-night therapy session. Something about breaking us down to build us up later. But 7 hours is a bit long of a breakdown. Anyways, I'm 100% sure he's lying about something.
Thanks, Rob. You can leave the investigation to us, okay? We'll be in touch.
Now the final document. Okay, new product brainstorm, April 22nd, 2257. Is that 1057? Fake dog security cam. Power cord tail. Fake fur you can really pet.
Ew, rear view.
Potential names: Doggy Detective, Pooch Patrol, Robopup, Biting version, adjustable neck for towers. Okay, possible features and benefits. Secret compartment to hide a key. Idle panting noises. Infrared night vision fits in small places like bathrooms. Be alert and ready for killers.
The line, hypoallergenic, and it's crossed off. The first thing that comes to mind are the Jane Doe's descriptions and how they either have like asthma or some type of allergy. Big ideas.
Then there's budget, marketing, warehouse, manufacturing, patents, NFL, NBA, MLB,
sports,
or gambling. All right, so we're back to this. We went through everything.
She was disguised as the dog.
As someone else, Scout. So I guess before we were leaning between two, she either hid or was already on the island, but now we also think there was possible smuggling involved. The Jack Danner, who often brought girlfriends, or it was the counselor who often snuck people. Nothing told us about swimming. I mean, that is really far, right? And then a separate boat. I mean, maybe jumping from a plane just seems random. They didn't find a parachute anywhere. And then the submarine is also just kind of random. Maybe we should look at some of the photos, the magnifying glass.
Of the crime scene?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Is there a parachute on there?
You look at that. Maybe that's a parachute.
Oh, there's a license plate.
Would you look at that? We should have looked at the crime scene photos.
Instead of reading through every single document first. All right, let's match this license plate. So I don't think it's any of the people of interest. How about the missing persons? They also had cars. Oh, no. Doesn't look like it's any of the cars.
No, we looked at all the license plates. It's not a car.
What if it's not a car?
Ooh, actually there was a picture of the sailboats. Oh, look.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there you go.
The whole time we had it.
Yeah, but nothing pointed to it. All the information was kind of insinuating
I know.
other things. Okay, and now I'm confident.
Okay.
It's a separate boat.
She took a separate boat. Check answer. Yes! Jane Doe took a separate boat. Nice work, detective. How do you prove it?
2 photos. CSI photo, burned building.
And?
Group photo at the marina.
Always does this. Yes, you solved it. Objective 1. You solved it. Jane Doe took another boat that was docked at the marina. Now open the envelope marked Bonus Envelope A to send the dive team out to investigate the shipwreck.
Okay, objective number 2. Who is Jane Doe? When you figure out which of the 5 missing girls is Jane Doe, visit this page to see if you got it right.
Well, that will do it for this video. Look out for the next one coming soon. If you like our content, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you again in the gamery.